Vibe coding is not a joke, and it is not going away. It might be the biggest shift in how software gets built since the internet showed up. So let's own the term with confidence and actually understand it. Here is the whole idea in one sentence. You describe what you want in plain English, and an AI agent writes the actual code while you steer, review, and taste check the result. That is the entire move. You are not typing every line by hand anymore. You are directing a machine that types for you. And if that makes you a little nervous, good, because doing it well is a genuine skill, not a party trick. Most people are doing it badly right now. This series exists to make sure you are not one of them. So let's start at the very beginning with what this actually is. Here is the honest definition, stripped of all the hype. Vibe coding means you work at the level of intent, not syntax. Instead of remembering the exact way to open a file, loop over a list, or center something on a page, you just say what you want to happen, and the model turns that intent into working code. The phrase itself got coined by a well-known AI researcher back in 2025, half as a joke. He described the feeling of giving in to the vibes, forgetting that the code even exists, and just letting the model handle the details. It caught on because it named something real that thousands of people were already quietly doing. Underneath the meme is a serious claim. For the first time in the history of computing, plain human language is a real programming interface. You talk, the machine builds. That is new. Something real just changed under our feet, and it is worth sitting with for a second. For about 70 years, writing software meant translating your ideas into a rigid, unforgiving language that a machine could follow. One missing bracket, one typo, and the whole thing refused to run. That translation from human idea to precise instructions was the actual job. It took years to get good at. Now the model does the translation for you. Your ideas go in as ordinary sentences, and code comes out the other end. So the bottleneck moved. It used to be, how fast can you write correct syntax? Now it is, how clearly can you describe what you want, and how well can you judge what you get back? The scarce skill flipped from typing to thinking. That is not a small tweak. It is a genuinely different job wearing the same title. If you only remember one thing from this video, remember that the job itself changed. The whole thing runs on a loop, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. Step 1, you prompt. You describe the feature or the fix in plain words. Step 2, the model generates the code, sometimes a line, sometimes a whole file. Step 3, you run it. You actually execute the thing and watch what happens. Step 4, you read what it wrote, and this is the step almost everyone skips. Step 5, you correct. You tell the model what is wrong, what to change, what you actually meant, and the loop spins again. Prompt, generate, run, read, correct. Round and round, tightening each time until the thing does what you pictured in your head. Every AI coding tool on Earth is just a nicer wrapper around this exact loop. Learn the loop and you understand all of them. Count the steps in that loop. There are 5, but here is the part that matters. They are not equal. 4 of those 5 steps are fast, and getting faster every single month. The model can write, delete, and rewrite an entire file in the time it takes you to sip your coffee. But one step, reading the code and judging whether it is any good, runs at human speed, and it does not speed up. That is the whole story of vibe coding in one number. 5 steps, 4 of them cheap, 1 of them precious. All of the value and all of the risk now live in step 4. The person who masters reading and judging is the person who ships things that actually work. Everyone else is just generating faster garbage. So what is this genuinely great for today in the real world? 3 things stand out. First, prototypes. You can go from a fuzzy idea in your head to a clickable working app in an afternoon, something that honestly used to take a week or more. Second, glue code, all the boring plumbing nobody enjoys, the little scripts, the one-off tools, the data cleanups, the utilities you never had time to build. The model eats that work for breakfast. Third, learning. You can ask it to build something, then read exactly how it did it and absorb real patterns faster than any course could teach you. And underneath all 3 sits one word: leverage. One curious person can now cover the ground that used to need a small team. And notice, none of this requires you to be some kind of genius. It just requires you to be curious and a little bit careful. That is the promise, and it is real. Now let's talk about what it looks like in practice. Real tools already do this, and you have almost certainly heard the names. There are AI, native code editors that will build a whole feature from a single sentence. There are agents that live inside your terminal, read your entire codebase, and edit files directly while you watch. And there are assistants baked right into the places you already write code, finishing your thoughts before you finish typing them. They look different on the surface, they price differently, they each have their own personality. But peel back the interface and they are all running the exact same loop: prompt, generate, run, read, correct. So do not get paralyzed choosing. Pick one, learn it properly, get fluent in the rhythm, and the skill carries straight over to the next one. The tool is not the point. The loop is the point. Watch a prompt become an app, because this is the moment that hooks everyone. You type one sentence, build me a habit tracker with a streak counter and a dark theme. You hit enter. A few seconds later, there are files on disk, a clean layout on screen, a button that actually works, and real data getting saved. No boilerplate, no setup, no fighting the tools for an hour. It feels like a magic trick, and honestly, the first time it happens, it kind of is. But hold on to that feeling, because the magic is also the trap. The faster the code appears, the easier it is to just accept it without ever really looking at it. Speed seduces you into trust you have not actually earned. And that gap between how good it looks and whether it is truly right is exactly where vibe coding goes wrong. Now here is the part nobody puts on the glossy landing page. The single biggest danger in vibe coding is shipping code you do not understand. When the model nails it on the first try, you feel like a genius, and the temptation is to move on immediately. But you did not write it. And if you did not read it, then nobody in the entire building actually knows what it does. For a weekend toy, that is completely fine, ship it, who cares? For anything real, it is a slow-motion disaster waiting for a date. Code you do not understand is code you cannot fix when it breaks, cannot secure when it is attacked, and cannot trust when it starts behaving strangely at 2 in the morning. Understanding is not optional overhead. It is the thing that separates a builder from someone just pressing buttons and hoping. It works until it doesn't, and that gap is exactly where people get burned. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The model is trained to produce code that looks right, and looking right is not the same thing as being right. It will cheerfully hardcode a password straight into the file. It will skip the check that stops a stranger from reading another user's private data. It will write something that passes every test today and then quietly collapses the moment real traffic shows up. These are not rare, exotic edge cases. They are the default failure mode of generated code that nobody bothered to review. And the cruelest part is the timing. The bug is never loud when it is still cheap to fix. It stays perfectly silent, right up until the day it becomes very, very expensive. That is the failure you are being paid to catch. You are the quality gate. Say it out loud, because that phrase is the entire job now. The AI writes fast, faster than any human who has ever lived, but speed without judgment is just a quicker way to make a bigger mess. You are the one thing standing between whatever the model generated and what actually reaches real users. Think of it this way. The model is a brilliant intern with infinite energy, encyclopedic knowledge, and absolutely zero accountability. You are the senior engineer whose name goes on the work. If you read carefully, question the weird parts, and push back when something smells off, you are vibe coding well. If you just rubber stamp everything the model hands you and hit deploy, you are not really coding at all. You are gambling with extra steps and a false sense of safety. So the real skill moved, and it moved somewhere genuinely interesting. It is not about memorizing syntax anymore. The model has all of that cold. The valuable skills now are different and quieter. 1. Writing a clear spec describing exactly what you want with enough detail that the model has a real target to hit instead of a vague vibe. 2. Reading a diff, looking at precisely what changed and instantly knowing whether it is right, sloppy, or dangerous. 3. Architecture and taste, having a felt sense of what good structure looks like, so you notice the second the model starts wandering off into nonsense. Notice that none of these are about typing speed. The most valuable engineer in the AI era is not the fastest at the keyboard. It is the clearest thinker with the sharpest judgment. Those are learnable, and this series is going to help you build every one of them. Let's make this practical. Do's on one side, don'ts on the other, no fluff. Do use it to explore ideas, to throw up a prototype, to learn a new framework, to knock out the boring parts you have been avoiding. Do read every single diff before you accept it. Every time, no exceptions. Do keep your changes small so you can actually follow what happened. Now the don'ts, and these matter even more. Don't ship code you could not explain to another person if they asked. Don't let the model touch payments, passwords, or private data without a slow, careful human review. Don't paste in a giant blob you never read and quietly call it finished. The whole thing collapses down to one clean line. Trust the model to draft. Never ever trust it to decide. You keep the final say always. Time for a real reality check, because context is everything here. Vibe coding is absolutely spectacular for prototypes, side projects, internal tools, and glue, the whole world of work where a bug is cheap and speed is the entire game. Go wild there. That is exactly what this is for. But it gets genuinely risky the moment you touch critical systems. Anything involving money, security, personal health, or serious scale, where one silent mistake gets expensive fast, and where every line truly needs a human reading it. Same tool, same loop, completely different rules, depending entirely on what is at stake. A huge part of getting good is simply knowing which situation you are standing in and dialing your caution up or down to match. Reckless on a toy is fine. Reckless on a payment system is how you end up in the news. Let's tie this whole thing together in 3 clean lines. 1. Vibe coding is describing what you want in plain language and letting an AI agent write the code while you steer, review, and taste check. 2. The real danger is shipping code you do not understand, which is why reading and judging the output is the entire skill now, not typing. 3. You become the quality gate. This is fantastic for prototypes and glue and genuinely risky for critical systems without careful review. Master that loop, keep your judgment switched on, and you get almost all of the leverage with almost none of the risk. That is the balance we are chasing across this whole series. Welcome to the series. This whole channel exists for exactly one reason: to hand vibe coders the fundamentals, so you are dangerous in the good way, the way that ships real things that actually hold up under pressure. Over the coming videos, we are going to go deep on the pieces underneath all of this: how these models actually think, how agents really work, how to read code fast enough to keep up with them, and how to build things you can genuinely trust. If you want to go from just vibing to truly steering, you are in exactly the right place. Subscribe, stick around, and let's make you the sharpest quality gate in the room. I'll see you in the next one.